Welcome to the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name is Boogie Bentley.
And I'm the Indy Kid.
And this is your weekly recap of the Tennessee baseball team. But as always, guys, please go ahead and smash that like button right out of the gate. It's just below the video. Just press that little thumbs up. We would greatly appreciate that. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Hit that bell for notifications so you don't miss out when we go live or when we drop new content. And thank you, guys. Thank you. Just right before we started up this video, we hit 6,000 subscribers. So thank you to each and every one of you for that. And let's kick this thing off with this is from the interview with Tony Vitello after the loss to Kentucky on Friday night. So let's listen to this.
I don't think so. I mean, Sean Hunley had almost a full week's rest. We obviously used Kirby last night, but it was for the first time in a week. Or close to, and he only threw 12 pitches. If anyone, Mabry's been used 3 times, and he did what we asked. I mean, he's gotten us 3 lefties out this particular weekend. Just so happened it didn't go so well against the righty he faced. But no, I think we're 1 pitch away here and there from getting out of an inning, and it just didn't happen. So part of it goes to your opponent can swing the bat a little bit. And then part of it goes to, these are the guys we rely on. And at the end of the year, we'll reflect on our record. And if they get it done more than they don't get it done, we'll have a good season. And in my opinion, that's kind of the way it's gone with those guys so far. And that's why they'll continue to be our guys. And there's a couple guys that, are well rested for tomorrow, but also some guys that might get a chance to answer back from how today went. But no, it's the same as hitting. I mean, we scored a ton of runs last night. We only scored 2 today. So I think you got to be careful about fluctuating too much with your opinion or your emotional reaction to it went well today, didn't go well this time. It went well this day, didn't go well this day. I think it's a game of percentages, and the guys we've used out of that bullpen have been successful a very high percentage of the time.
Again, comments from Coach Vitello after the loss on Friday night. Look, it was a week of highs and lows for this Tennessee baseball team. Dropped the midweek game to Lipscomb, 4-1, and then they put 14 on the board Thursday night. Friday night, they struggled to get the bats going in the loss. And then today, they took advantage of some mistakes by Kentucky before absolutely unloading in the bottom of the 6th. Grand slam by Jake Rucker. A guy that went, just playing off of those comments from Coach Vitello, a guy that went 0 for 4 with 4 strikeouts on Thursday night. Hits a grand slam, bottom of the 6th, followed by a 2-run shot by Luke Lipsius. Vols get the series win, a lot of highs, a lot of lows. Going back to those comments, Indy Kid, do you just chalk that up to, hey, just baseball?
Hey, not just baseball, it's just SEC baseball for you. It's a brutal conference, and if you don't bring it, you can lose any night in that conference. I mean, as strong as that conference is in football, it is even stronger. And I would say by a wide margin in baseball, and that's not a slight. It's rough. And I mean, Kentucky's a bubble team for the NCAA tournament. They said that was a big booster to them, their win yesterday. So, yeah, you have those nights. I mean, it was an up and down week, like you said. And at this point, Tennessee's going to have to bring it every night, because when you're in that top 10 like they are, top 5, depending on what poll it is, especially if you're playing, a Kentucky, which is a border rivalry, or a Lipscomb, which is an in-state foe. I mean, you're going to have to bring it every night right there. But, I mean, you chalk it up yesterday, like you said, had some rough night, Rucker 0 for 4, 4 strikeouts, didn't get the bats going, made some errors yesterday, but then they come back today and bounce back. Yeah, just like last Saturday against A&M. It was almost, I mean, obviously that game was closer, but, the circumstances were really kind of identical. Got beat on Saturday, bounced back on Sunday and just hammered them, and then, got beat Friday night, bounced back today and just hammered Kentucky. So, yeah, you've got to chalk it up to that sometimes.
I like what he talks about percentages, trusting guys to do what they do. And then at the end of the year, you kind of come back and look at that full body of work. And it's you talk about, top 5 program, top 10 program, depending on what poll you're looking at. And then they lose to Lipscomb. And it's another one of those things. Sometimes in baseball, it doesn't go your way. And the Vols out-hit Lipscomb in that game. but they struggled with guys on base in scoring position, left 13 runners on base that game. But what I kind of want to go back to his comments and talk about this bullpen. You know, he talks about trust and letting guys do what they do. He knows what he's got in that bullpen, but things don't always go your way. I feel pretty solid about Tennessee's weekend starters, but if they're going to make a true run into the College World Series, do you think they're going to need to find more consistency out of that bullpen, just running down what they did this weekend? They had 3 scoreless innings on Thursday, and then you're hearing his comments there after the game Friday. They gave up 5 runs in 2 2/3 on Friday. Only 2 of those were earned. And going back to what we've talked about since we started doing these baseball reports, they had a throwing error followed by a wild pitch, and it's just you put the coin in the merry-go-round, and here we go. Obviously, today, Walsh absolutely nasty out of that bullpen today. But going back to the question at hand, do you think if they're going to make a true run, if they are a true top 5 program, are they going to have to find some consistency somewhere in that bullpen throughout the weekend?
Oh, yeah. That's the difference in a championship team and not right there. I mean, I think their 3 main guys are, and not no specific order, Connell, Hundley, and Walsh, no doubt. And, you know, they're kind of erratic. I mean, honestly, I mean, they've got some good guys out of that. Like you said, Walsh was nasty today, but they've been a little inconsistent lately. Good night, bad night, and so forth. But, yeah, if they're going to make a run to Omaha, that bullpen's going to have to, because I think Chad Dallas, but anytime he goes out, I believe he can go as long as he needs to go right there. But, you know, with Heflin and Tidwell, those guys aren't getting 2 or through the 5th very often right now. So, you know, those last 2 days, that bullpen's going to have to be on it. And, you know, maybe, I don't know, maybe there's somebody, like you said, Vitello knows who he's got. He knows what he's got out there right now. And we know who his top 3 options are right there. Could they use some more depth? Maybe, but I think the thing would help is if Heflin and Tidwell, if you could get them into the 6th or 7th inning, that would be huge on that bullpen.
Yeah, a lot of times it seems like they pull the hook in the 5th or the 6th inning. Sometimes I think they could leave the starters in a little longer, and it's a tough call. You mentioned Chad Dallas, man. I just want to kind of touch on him for game 1 of this series with Kentucky. I thought he had a gutsy performance, I guess I would call it. He kind of started off rough, and then he had to sit through a 20-minute rain delay, and then he comes back out, man. He settles in, good quality start. He's up to 7 wins on the year. He was having fun today. Man, that guy in the dugout's got his shirt unbuttoned down to his belly button, got a gold chain on. That dude has some energy to him. But solid start by him in game 1. Then game 2, like you said, Will Heflin goes 6 1/3, and then the bullpen comes in, just doesn't get it done.
Yeah, and let's see. I think Sewell come in first. Is that right? Last night, I think they went from Heflin to Camden Sewell.
I got the box score here so I can run it through.
And I may be off a little bit on that because
it was Connell. Kirby Connell comes in for 2/3. Yeah. He only gave up a hit, but he seems to be, he's a guy. It's like he comes in and he's locked down, or he comes in and is just all over the place. Again, consistency. I think that's the theme for this bullpen.
Yeah, and you're exactly right. There's really no in between with him. He's either on or he's not. And, you know, one thing, I don't know that, you know, I know it calls for matchups and stuff, but I don't know. My kind of philosophy on it is if I'm throwing a lefty, I'm going to counter with a righty, unless it's just a lineup full of lefties coming up at that point, which maybe it was. But, yeah, Connell, man, when he's on, he is filthy. But and it's kind of the same with Walsh like he was today, because Walsh has had some up and down too. But, you know, he was on tonight. 3 2/3. 5 strikeouts, no walks, no hits, no runs. It's just he was nasty today. Yeah, because he had in the 8th inning, he struck out the side.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, I mean, that's what you need from him right there. But, I think they need a little bit more out of their starters too, outside of Dallas. I mean, you can, like I said, you can normally rely on Dallas. I mean, he's had some, but they need more out of Heflin and Tidwell, I believe. But I don't know. I mean, Heflin threw a pretty good game last night for the most part. And then, like you said, I think sometimes they hook him a little too early.
Yeah.
But he knows what he's got. He knows, you as a guy who's actually, of course, I haven't coached at the college level, but you know when your guy's got it and when he doesn't. You can kind of tell that. So I know that guy, he knows more than I do about it. And the times where I've been a coach, I've known. Of course, I had pitch limits to deal with, but I knew when my guys were done and when they weren't.
But carrying on with that, I agree. And nobody knows these guys more than Coach Vitello. But today I thought was a perfect example of that. With Blade Tidwell going 5 1/3, I thought he had a chance to go a little bit deeper. He walked a guy. He had a wild pitch. So I get it. He's getting a little shaky. But then Max Ferguson, again, and they ruled it a hit, but the ball was hit. It's a play that Max Ferguson should have made. And then Tidwell gets the hook. And I don't know, man. I thought maybe maybe it's because I want him to go a little deeper. I want a starter at 7 innings is what I'm looking for. I want a guy to get 7 innings. And when Tidwell got pulled, I mean, it was still a ball game at that point. I think it was 4-1 at that point, maybe 4-2, 4-2 at that point. And then, of course, the bottom of the 6th is when Tennessee explodes 7 runs in that inning, and they never look back. But yeah, need the starters to go a little deeper. Need some more consistency out of the bullpen. Hundley last night, he's the one that got beat up.
He's a guy, night. Yeah,
and he's a guy you typically count on to deliver out of that bullpen.
You made an interesting point about it, Ferguson. There, and I'm not singling him out, but a lot of time, man, they can be shaky in the field, and that's something that I think, in the grand scheme, could hurt them. Right there again, I go back to I mentioned about knowing, when your pitchers are done or whatever. I've kind of dealt with those shaky fielding where I'm sure Tennessee works on it, but when the lights come on, it's like, I don't know. You still get those wild throws, or you just get those bobbles, and a lot of times Ferguson too. They play the shift so much. He plays so deep. I think it messes him up a lot on it. But they've got to tidy up that defense on the infield. I mean, and they've been. You mentioned it too earlier last night about the wild pitch. I couldn't decide whether that was a wild pitch or a pass ball last night. And for anybody that doesn't know the difference, the wild pitch is normally the pitcher just throws a wild one. And, sometimes a pass balls, the catcher just makes a mistake on it. And I couldn't really tell on that one, but they've had some kind of pitcher-catcher miscommunication the last week or so. I know Greer has been in, instead. But
it's happened with Pavelloni too. Pavelloni came back last weekend. It was funny when they had the miscommunication last week, because we talked about it on here. It happened 2 or 3 times. When Pavelloni went to the mound, it was a one-sided conversation. He was telling Tidwell, okay, listen, you're the one that's screwing up here, not me. It was a one-sided conversation. Let's look at the standings here. Let's talk about just how far this Tennessee team can go. They won a lot of close games early in this year. They won a lot of one-run games. We talked about how they were feeding off the energy of their coach, just found a way to win. I hope they didn't play their best baseball too early. Are they truly a top 5 program with a chance to make a run here as we look at the standings?
My answer to that is we'll find out. Not so much this week, but we'll find out the last 3 weekends, because Arkansas, South Carolina, and then SEC tournament. As of right now, who knows? There's one night I'll think, man, this team is already topped out, and then they'll bounce back and score a bazillion runs right there. The main thing is, like you mentioned, bullpen and defense. I think these guys can hit. Now, the thing of it is, you look up and down that lineup, and it's not full of high averages, but guys just know how to get on base on there. They make pitchers work. And I think the ceiling's Omaha with these guys. I really do. And I don't think the floor is any less than maybe regional. I don't know. I think they can get to a regional final at least. But I don't know, man. I think they can. I think they have a legit shot to get to Omaha. But man, that May 14th through 16th, and then May 20th through 22nd. That's two good ones. And make no mistake about it. Last week they had to go walk off against Tennessee Tech. So Tennessee Tech's gonna bring it again next week. Belmont's gonna come in too. These in-state rivals, because I know always when they play ETSU. They have their hands full with ETSU. These teams bring it when they come to play Tennessee. That's a big game for them. So
they should take care of business this coming weekend. Missouri has lost 10 out of their last 11. So I look for Tennessee to sweep or definitely have an opportunity to sweep. But like you said, going down the stretch, that series with Arkansas at home, Lindsey Nelson Stadium, that stadium, maybe they'll open up even a little bit more before then. They will be rocking and rolling. And then that last road trip to South Carolina. Again, looking back at the standings, as we head into the SEC tournament, May 25th through the 30th, they talked about it a little bit on the broadcast. Tennessee has a real good opportunity to have a good seed going into the SEC tournament. Hopefully they can get the bats going, get some consistency out of that bullpen, and like you said, man, make a run for that College World Series. We're gonna wrap the video up, but we got to talk about one last thing, and that is the upgrades and keeping Coach Vitello. And I talked about this a little earlier in the week in a football video, but we're going to kind of carry that conversation here just for a couple of minutes, then we're going to wrap this thing up. But it's Danny White and fundraising. He's trying to get funds. I just thought it was interesting because Jason Swain talked about it this week on his show. He spent about 2 hours on Thursday or Friday, I can't remember which day, talking about fundraising and talking about how everybody's got to jump in the boat and grab an oar. Tennessee needs money. He talked about the upgrades for Lindsey Nelson Stadium have already been laid out. The discussions have been had. At this point, it's about money. They need the money to do these upgrades. On the flip side of that, sounds like, according to VolQuest, Tony Vitello does not want to play in a stadium downtown. But they could do some cool things with that. Obviously, you've talked about it on here before. They're going to utilize that stadium. Maybe when you've got a big series like that Vanderbilt game, you want a bigger crowd, you would go downtown for that. But Tony Vitello, it sounds like, has no interest in playing a full schedule in a shared park.
No, and I don't even think you go downtown for the Vanderbilt series. You put it on UT's campus. Your Vanderbilt series, or I'm sorry, your downtown part, sometimes Tennessee, they've done some in-state series down to Smoky Stadium now, down in Sevierville, Kodak, whatever you want to call it, where it'll be like Tennessee, ETSU, maybe Memphis, Tennessee Tech, teams like that. You may do like some kind of an in-state weekend deal right there. You may do a cool non-conference game or something. No, I agree. I don't think you want to share with a minor league park right there. I think you want the Smokies to be their thing. Maybe you have some showcase, some non-conference games, but I think you upgrade Lindsey Nelson. That's on campus. That allows easier flexibility because students, the students are starting to get behind this team now with the legend of Lindsey Nelson. They're killing it down there right now. And, it's easy access for them as well. It's walking distance opposed to you go downtown, they got to get drunk and drive down there as opposed to getting drunk and walk into the game. But, yeah, I think that's a big thing for you. Lindsey Nelson is where the facility upgrades need to happen at. And the downtown, I think, is just icing on the cake. But, obviously, something that's probably hurt that because based on how well they've done this year, the limited capacity has hurt them from a money standpoint, which it has everyone.
Yep.
But, I don't know what the answer is. I don't think the downtown park's the answer on it. And I agree with Vitello. You've got a park, and it's a decent park now, but how much better can you make that? If you can upgrade Neyland Stadium, because they keep talking about upgrading Neyland, you can sure as hell upgrade Lindsey Nelson Stadium.
Yep, I agree with a lot of that. I don't know. The reason I mentioned the Vanderbilt series is because I think look at how crazy that place was for that series. Maybe you do one game. Maybe you do a Friday night game. I'm just looking at financially the opportunity to put more butts in the seats and make a little bit of extra money for the school. But I don't know, guys. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you think about this Tennessee baseball program. What do they need to do to make a run as we go down the stretch here? A quick reminder, I guess not a reminder, announcement. We are going live tomorrow on Sunday afternoon, 4:30 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to be talking about all the news surrounding the football program this week. We got a lot to talk about, so I thought it would be fun to do a live stream, get everybody on and discuss. But that's it for this episode. Make sure if you haven't done so yet, do smash that thumbs up on the way out the door. This is the Talkin VAWLS Network. For the Indy Kid, my name is Boogie Bentley. Go Big Orange.
Yeah,